So here we are in Adobe Edge Reflow CC, which unfortunately has been discontinued from November 2015. However, it's still a nice little program to work with. To gain access to it, it has been removed from the up-to-date list of the programs in the Creative Cloud app. But you can, if you scroll down to the installable versions here, you can filters and versions, sorry for the Danish here, and then you can choose the show earlier versions. So at the far bottom here, you should see the Adobe Edge Reflow CC preview. So let's get into the program. First of all, in this layout here, we will create the different breakpoints. We'll also create the page itself and everything. So we'll start out by creating a box. This box will of course be a div tag in the final version of the web page. So if we click the add a box icon up here, and we'll just drag out the size of the box. So currently we will let the height stay at a pixel value, or otherwise it'll collapse into a very thin box at the top here, and it'll be hard to place objects inside of it. Okay, so let's take the selection tool, make sure that we drag it all the way to the top. Right now we have 1 pixel margin to the top of the browser edge here, so like so. So I want this box here, I want it to be centered, and I want it to take up a specific amount of space in the browser itself. So if we go to the settings for float down here, we'll click float none, and we'll go and say that the setting or the margin should be 0 and then auto. So this should center it out with automatic amounts of margin at both the left and the right. Okay, so next up is we want to set a width for this. So I'll set my max width to 960 pixels, and I'll set my size to 75%. Next up, I want to change the background. So I want to put a picture on the background itself. So I'll click the background, make sure that it is selected. You can also go into this elements panel over here, this layer stack, and open this up and make sure that page up here is selected. Then we'll go to styling, and instead of adding a color here, we can click the image layer button. This will open this pop-up box here where we can take any picture and drag it into that box here. So I'll take my background like so, and I'll just say repeat X and Y and leave it at scroll. So now I'll select the box that we've created here, and I'll change it to white. So I'll click the styling here and then add color, and I will select white, and I'll just leave it at pure white, just so that we can see the difference in the content area and the background itself. So if you want to see a preview of how your page looks, you can always click tab or hit tab on your keyboard. This will extend everything out so that you can see how your page currently looks. Tap back. So now I want to create a banner picture up here. So I'll start out by creating a div tag. So again, a box. I'll click inside this box here, and I'll create a banner like so. I'll click layout just so that I can see my settings. I want it to be 250 pixels high, and I want it to take up 100% of the content or the area that it is currently located in. So now I can add a background picture here. The reason why I'm adding it through the CSS and not just adding a picture in here like a image tag is that I have some extra settings that I can use. I can even go in and change some JavaScript or add some JavaScript later on so that I can actually make it rotate through multiple different pictures. So I'll once again in the backgrounds here, I'll click add an image, and I'll drag this image of this lazy guy into that area. In the scaling, I will select cover because it'll fit to the width and to the height of the area. So as soon as I start changing the size of the page itself, actually only when I hit here we start cropping the picture itself. This will highly depend on the picture size, of course. It'll also depend on the size of the box that the picture is currently located in. Because this is a web page for a very lazy designer, we want to make it look very lazy and quickly edited. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to add just a like button here. He won't have a menu, he'll just have a like. We'll also add a bit of text. So we'll take the text tool up here, so add a text box, and we will drag a text box in the center here. And because every designer thinks they're awesome, he will write, "I am so awesome." We'll select, we'll make the text, let's just make it white. And we will increase the size and we will center it. The font itself, I will choose Verdana. So another quick thing that we could do with this text is we could go down here where we have shadows and we could add a shadow. The shadow should be black, should have an opacity, and it should of course be offset just a bit. So very quick and easy styling of that. You could blur it even further, I think this is actually okay for what we're aiming for. So now we're going to add another box that goes again from left to right. We'll add a box within that box, so a div tag within that. And this box inside here in the layout, we'll go to say float none, and we will have it have a margin of 0 and then auto to center it. So now it's centered in this area. Here we want to add a picture, and I want to add a picture of this like button here. So I'll add that in here. We of course need to scale it down a bit, and I will place it in the center here. So now we of course need to add a static pixel value to the size here, otherwise it'll scale together with the page. So we will put in 70 pixels here, and we will say that the minimum is also 70 pixels, which means that it won't scale down. So if I scale the page, we can see that the like button stays. Only as soon as we hit this area where the text should probably become smaller, we start to have a jump in our design. So far so good. Now we want to add 3 info boxes just below the banner up here. These 3 info boxes should be about offers, calling him, and whatnot, just to get him customers. So we'll start out by creating div boxes for each. So I'll select the box up here and I'll create a box. This box here of course needs to have a specific distance to the banner. It also needs to have a specific size. I would like it if the size, so the width, is 30%. So by making it 30%, we can actually add 3 of them and deduct the value from 100% so that we can have them evenly spaced. I would like that this box here has a 1% distance to the edge here. So we will add that in the margin. So we'll say 1%. 25 pixels distance to the top banner here is actually okay. So to copy out this box here, we can select it. We can either copy paste it, or we can hold down Alt on our keyboards and then drag out a copy here. So that's 1 copy. And of course we want 3 of them all in all. So we need another copy as well. Okay, so these 2 new ones here, they need to have the same distance to the top. So we could drag this down a bit. So 25 pixels, and 25 pixels. The distance to the other box here should of course be, in this case, 4%. This one should also have 4% as its distance, which will in total say that we have 4% distance between each of these 3 boxes, and we have 1% extra margin outside to the edge of the white page here. Next up is I want to add these pictures. So I have 3 pictures that I want to add into each box here. So 1 into each, of course. So what you do is you actually just drag and drop these pictures in here. So blindfolded people, a phone, and a pack of bananas. So what you do is you just drag and drop them into these boxes. You make sure that they fit. So right now my background is set to automatic scaling. I might just extend it outwards again so that I have a fixed pixel value, just so that I can see what I'm working on. These pictures are all set to have a size of auto. We could also, of course, say 100%, but auto will just fill out any frame that they are in, even though we scale them down. So they will automatically scale with that box, which is something that we, of course, will repair at a later point with a breakpoint. Okay, so I want to have a bit of an edge around these boxes here. So I want these boxes, of course, to have a colored background, and I also want them to cast a small shadow on the background, just like we have it on the text up here. So we will select all of these boxes. The easiest way to do that is actually to select them over here in the layer stack. So I'll hold Control and click the 3 boxes. Then I'll go to styling, and in here in styling you will add a background. We will give it a light, very light gray, and I'll go to shadow and just click plus here so that we can add the shadow and have it offset like so. We probably need to change the opacity quite a bit because that was really extreme. So now we have these boxes here with shadows on them. So we might want to have a frame that goes around the picture so that we can see the background there. So once again, I'll select these boxes that I just deselected. I'll go into layout, and instead of adding margins and all, I'll add padding all the way around, and I'll say 5 pixels padding. So this will automatically push the pictures inward a bit. Now we will add text boxes to each and every one of these. So I will create a text box here that says package deals. I'll add another one over here saying call me anytime, and another one here saying no more searching. And we always need those exclamation marks just to make really sure that everyone understands what we're saying. Again, I'll select all of these text boxes here. I'll go to styling, and we can change the font to, not Times New Roman, we can change the font to verdana. We can make the font lighter gray like so. We can make it bigger, of course, so that it fits the box that it's in. Give it a bit more weight. So I'll click the boxes out here just to make sure that they're selected. I'll hold Shift on my keyboard and click down once just to add a bit of distance, so 10 pixels to the picture here. If I click Tab, this is now what we have. The last thing that I want to add here is now a Buy Now banner at the bottom, and basically it's just dragging and dropping this picture in here and then fitting it within my standard proportions, which were 25 pixels distance. So now we can select the background here, which was originally in the layout set to have a maximum or a fixed height. If we set this back to auto and we tell it to have a padding at the bottom that is, let's just say 25 pixels, like we have it all over these areas here. So we'll set this to have a margin to the left of 1% so that it is matching the other areas that we have. And because we have that, we need to decrease it by 2% in this area. So in the size, we'll change the size to 89%. So one more thing that we need to do is we need to select these boxes that we have here. Now we've filled them out with some content. We want to set the height back to auto. This means that it'll automatically just be the size of the content. So they will scale perfectly without any hiccups. And not just stay at 100 or 250%, 250 pixels. And voila, we have a fully designed responsive page, but hey, we need the breakpoints, of course. So now we have a functioning page. So the first breakpoint that we want to set will probably be where we jump to a 2-column layout. So if we go down here, we could say that as soon as the browser, for instance, hits, so let's just say 1000 pixels, we will add a breakpoint. So it's at 1004, so I'll just set it to 1000 here. So what we will do with this breakpoint is we actually want to have the page extend a bit further outwards as soon as we hit this breakpoint here. So we will select the background itself, and instead of 75%, we will actually give it 90% of the page in this layout. So this means that as soon as we hit this area, we kind of jump back to a size that we can still use with this layout here, so that we can actually keep this layout alive for a bit longer. As soon as we hit like a tablet size, let's just say in the vicinity of 700 or 800 pixels wide, we could add another breakpoint. This is probably where we would extend 2 of these boxes out and then just hide the other one. So let's just add a breakpoint here at 800, and I will select this box here, the no more searching. I'll go to the display and I'll choose none, and just for the sake of it, I'll also hide it. This means that we need to recalculate the position or the size of these. So the first box here, I'll select it. So what I want to do here is I want to extend these 2 boxes out at this breakpoint. I would like them to take up more space than the 30%, of course. In this case, I would probably go for 47%, because that'll give me kind of the same distances between the objects that I had before. So 47, like so, and I still have 4% here. But now my pictures don't scale completely or correctly. This is because they are set to auto. Auto means that they will just automatically scale, but as soon as they reach their maximum size, so the size of the actual picture, they will stop scaling. We want them to scale with this design, so we'll add 100% in both of these fields here. So select both pictures and say 100%. So now we're at a 2-column layout, which could work for a while. We might need to do something about the text as soon as we hit this area here. So at 650, I would like this text here to just become a bit smaller. So I'll add another breakpoint here at 650, and then I will select the text here, go to styling, and I'll change this to be 2 EM. So it's smaller and more easy to handle in this size. So now we'll go down to about the size of a phone. I would say that's everything below 400. So I'll add a breakpoint at 400, and at this breakpoint I will click the text, and I will, instead of 2 EM, I'll say 1.5 EM. And I want these 2 boxes here to, instead of being beside each other, I actually want this call me anytime to move below the other box. So what I can do is I can actually just drag it down and drag it below this box here. Sometimes it can be a bit cumbersome, but yeah. Fits kind of well, so I'll move down here, so 25 pixels distance. Now we will select the box here, and we'll say in the layout, I will say instead of 47%, I will give it 98 because that's the full width of this page right now. The other one as well. So now I actually need to scroll. This picture at the bottom here needs a bit of extra distance. So I'll move it down so that it says 25 pixels distance here. And I will just reset my margin to the left. So now we have a complete scrollable page for mobile as well. So if I hit tab, I can see all of these different breakpoints nicely and everything fits within my design. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to export this. So I'll hit tab again to get back into my original view. I'll say file and then export for code editor. So now I'll get some code out that I can actually edit further and then build my page. Thank you very much for watching.